Former President Donald Trump is dusting off his old political playbook, running his 2024 campaign in a style more reminiscent of how he operated here in mid-2015, before things got huge and he started filling arenas. The campaign is showcasing his connection with people, in particular the GOP base. In our one-on-one interview, we asked him about how he wins back those conservative voters he may have lost on January 6, 2021, whether he's worried about Mike Pence testifying before a grand jury, the potential challenge of Governor Ron DeSantis, and the recent incoming attacks from Governor Chris Sununu.
So guys like Sununu, they have to come up with something. I got along with his father very well. His father was a great supporter. And he would have been a supporter. I was very good to him when I was president, very good to the state. He would have been a good supporter, but he's just, he's a little bit cuckoo.
Governor Sununu has still won this state 4 times in a row, 4 elections in a row. He holds a lot of the voters that you're going to need to win, or perhaps win back to win the presidency in 2024. I talked to a lot of those voters. A lot of them are still upset about what happened on January 6, 2021. To what extent can you provide assurances that something like that is never going to happen again?
Well, it wasn't my fault, and this was a lot of people that thought the election was rigged and stolen. A lot of people still feel that, as you know. You saw the audience tonight. This was a packed house. You could have sold it out 4 times. And the level of enthusiasm, I think, is even greater than 2016 or 2020. I've never seen enthusiasm like this.
Vice President Pence testified before a grand jury regarding what happened between November 2020 and January 2021. Are you worried at all about what he might say?
No, I'm not worried at all. I wish he would have sent it back to the legislators. If he did that, I think he would have had a different result. Obviously, he had the right to do it because they changed the law right after the election. They were all saying that he had no choice. He had to do what he did. And it turned out they did have a choice, because that's why they changed the law, which is too bad. No, I just want Mike to be truthful. We had a very good relationship during our time together.
A question for you about Governor Ron DeSantis. He came here to New Hampshire. He's not running yet, but if he does, do you think he poses a threat at all to your chances here in New Hampshire?
Well, I mean, I just had a poll, the Emerson poll, where I'm up by 50 points or something. No, I think he's cratering. I endorsed him. When I endorsed him, he went up, won the primary easily, and then I helped him with the election. He won the election easily. But if I didn't endorse him, he was ready to quit politics. He was going to quit politics. And so I think there's a loyalty factor that's very important. And that's why some people say sanctimonious, but there's a loyalty factor. He's doing very poorly in the polls, as you know. I mean, if you asked the question fairly, you would say that he's cratering in the polls. He's down to 14. And he started higher than that. No, I think we're doing amazingly well. The people know me. They like me. We're the greatest economy in the history of our country. And we're going to do it again, and maybe even better.